alegede. Katika mtama Ramadhani alegede. Katika mtama Ramadhani alegede. Katika mtama Ramadhani alegede. Naga dobe dobe. Yeye papayu. Hizi hoto mani tongo akiredi na bawani. Tunamlaga mkale salama salimini. Tunamlaga tuosini mzile kuza. Tunamlaga mkale salama salimini.
And I think somebody had mentioned about the digital era, the mobile phone era, that now these days you don't even want to ask anybody any question. You don't want to go to any book or any journal. You go to the Professor Google. Professor Google is the one that gives you shortcuts to many things. Professor Google never gives you the details of the research works that have been done by knowledgeable scholars of this world. So please, let us not spend a lot of our time and energy on phones, because that really is, that has wasted a lot of our time. Let us find time to read the actual books and make reference to them. The university being a research institution, I believe this library will enrich scholars and researchers with current information in their different areas of specialization. In this information age, education and training are perceived to be the key elements in the process of change and central in the development of knowledge-based economy. Currently, our education system is undergoing major transformation in order to respond to education needs of our society. This university is therefore called upon to continuously carry out market need research so as to align its program to the societal needs. This will help bridge the skills gap that we are currently experiencing in our country, resulting to a lot of employment. What we are seeing today in many universities is that we are churning out graduates into the market, graduates who have the knowledge, but graduates who lack the skills for employment purposes. And the Ministry of Education is seriously concerned about that gap, and that is what the universities have been called upon to bridge. We have thousands, tens of thousands, even maybe hundreds of thousands of university graduates in our country today who cannot fit into the employment market, in the job market, and for the simple reason of the kind of courses they have taken. And therefore, universities need to do the research so that we can be able to bridge the gap. I am informed that this university does technical training, technical education, and we look forward to partnering up with the Ministry of Education to make sure that that aspect of the technical education is developed to its full. Ladies and gentlemen, libraries act as repositories of historically and culturally significant collections, many of which are not available anywhere else in the world. They are in fact research centers for those who seek knowledge, and we've had quite a bit of quotes from people who have really read a lot of the books here. In recognizing the cultural importance of sharing, Mahatma Gandhi said, "No culture can live if it attempts to be exclusive." The most deep-rooted of our human instincts is therefore the desire to preserve our culture for future generations. No other institution is better suited to play this role than a library. I am convinced that the new library that we inaugurate today will, in addition to playing this important role, also provide access to vast amount of information and knowledge to staff, to students, and to the community in the neighborhood. As gateways to culture and knowledge, libraries are very essential in giving citizens access to vast information. In this digital era, the need for information is more than ever before. The resources and services libraries offer create opportunities for learning, support education and literacy, and help shape new ideas that are central to creative and innovative society. Should conduct market-driven researches so that they can be able to tell and guide the students on which courses they can find employment. When we have an oversupply in humanities, for example, we have an oversupply in courses in businesses like we have now in the country, then it becomes very challenging for students to find placement. And that's why TVETs, as she was talking about, TVETs have come up to give an avenue for students to be able to pursue. Not everybody must end up in university, because university education is good, but you can still make your life better by engaging yourself in skills that you can be able to find employment in the market. And the TVET colleges are now providing the best of opportunities. And if you go to a government TVET college, there is even capitation. Government pays 30,000 of your fees annually so that you can be able to get skills and be able to find employment in the marketplace. So that really is where we have. And the oversupply in certain courses is what is now driving many of our graduates now to the streets with placards, trying to market themselves and find employment elsewhere. The private universities form a very important component of bridging the gap on where government has not been able to fulfill its core functions. And therefore, government goes a long way with all the private universities to make sure that they provide the best of courses, they provide the best of standards, like it is now in Lukenya University. The Ministry of Education is fully aware of the journey that this university has come. And we are very happy and excited that this university is meeting many of the requirements that are required for a good standard university to perform in this country.
Maybe what is the government?
I mean, the Commission for University Education is fully in charge of setting standards and making sure that standards are adhered with. And therefore, we don't have any standard issues in many of the universities. My advice to students was not really to go away from the digital aspect of library, because library is also now changing. We have digital libraries now. If you go to the Kenya National Library headquarters, the big library in Upper Hill, which is one of the biggest library in the country we have a digital section. We're not saying avoid digital, but my worry is the amount of time and energy we spend on phones, on mobile phones, vis-a-vis the time spent on academic works. That really is where our worry is, and we are persuading and encouraging students to spend a lot of their time on books and research digitally, not just chatting and contributing in forums and insulting your member of parliament and telling him how he's useless, insulting your senator on how he's not paying your fees and how he's the cause of all your problems. We spend a lot of energy on social media, as opposed to really the real academic works for which we are in this environment.
And on that, what could be assessment on readership?
Extremely poor. Kenyan readership is very poor, and that's why libraries of this kind are supposed to boost the reading culture. And it can only be boosted if the students here make use of it. If they don't make use of it, then it will really be a waste. Look at what Family Bank has done. This is a mammoth project by any standards. So if we don't make full use of it, then it is money that we have wasted.
Not everything to a standstill, but the good thing is that the Commission of University Education has given very clear guidelines on online studies. So at least here in Lukenya, we were able to roll out our online studies immediately after the lockdown. Our students did not lose time. We were able to graduate last year. We are very proud to graduate our class in time, and therefore the rest of the years have been able to transition, and that for us is something we hold very proudly. And even now we continue to, some students are at liberty, of course, to join online as well. But the good thing is that the guidelines are there from our commission. So if there's any university that did not roll out an online platform, then that is now for them to answer. The ministry actually went as far as offering, I think, help with the students to be able to get data. I think it was through, if I could remember, but there was the organization through the ministry where our students could get some help with the data so that they can access their online classes. So the government did what they could do. It was now for the private institutions now to pick it up from there. And we are happy we were able to roll out on time. Maintaining social distance in any institution is a challenge. Even now with schools open, you can see it's a problem. But we've tried as much as possible. I think for us here in the Lukenya University, what saves us is the fact that we are a resident university. So once the students came in, after 14 days of monitoring, and there were no cases, then we were able to just continue living in a closed community. That way we can contain ourselves. And the protocols have to be held very tight. So anyone coming in, your temperature must be checked and things like that. And I think any case that we felt might have had COVID, they were taken out and taken for checking and isolated on time. So it's not easy to maintain protocols because it requires more infrastructure, maybe more hostels and things like that. But we tried as much as we could, and I know a lot of institutions are having to struggle with that. But I think when it comes to COVID, in the end, what we can say to Kenyans is that it has to boil down to personal responsibility in the end, because life must go on. We can't have any more lockdowns. Our economy is struggling. So it has to be now personal responsibility, taking care of yourself and taking care of the people around you. The Justice Kasanga Mulwa Foundation, which we have launched today with a lot of honor to the late Justice Kasanga Mulwa, who had a vision of empowering young people so that they can have the power to have a livelihood and create a peaceful community in the future. So this foundation is actually just channeling the works that he has been doing. It's nothing new. It is works that he has been doing. He has been empowering a lot of youths, especially from vulnerable homes, making sure they finish their education and mentoring even some of them in their professional lives. In fact, Justice Kasanga has mentored a lot of people. Even when he was a judge, a lot of lawyers will tell you how he would give them stewardship even when they come to court. So this foundation is just continuing and consolidating the work that he started. And in fact, the university itself, when he founded it, it was towards the same efforts to give affordable quality education to young people so that we can see towards a prosperous future. He really had a passion of, a country that is free of basic needs. A country of prosperity is what he really wanted. So we are working towards that through the foundation, and of course we shall be looking for a lot of support so that we can channel more and more needy students and vulnerable students towards achieving that. He was also saying that we need to change the way we do things. Honestly, there's so much I could say towards that issue. But when we even went around to the counties as the ad hoc committee, a lot of complaints came out on how, you know, gender-based violence was at its highest now during COVID time because of the lockdowns. So a lot of women and youth, but also young boys were being sodomized in their homes. I mean, it has been really an inhuman, actions happened during the COVID lockdown issues. And that's why mental health has now become a very critical part of the government conversation. And I'm happy, in fact, to report I'm a mental health champion, and I'm the sponsor of the Mental Health Amendment Bill in Senate. And finally, the bill has come back to Senate, and the ministry has actually come forward to just explain that they are going to support the activity of mental health. The president has pronounced himself, and now finally we'll have budgets towards mental health, because mental health must be discussed openly. Some of these things that you're seeing, the pressure under which, you know, Kenyans have been during COVID, the loss of jobs, the lockdowns, the uncertainty that came with COVID, the uncertainty of the future has led to a lot of mental health issues. So these are some of the issues that are affecting our youth as well. And we are hoping that now with the interventions that are going to happen this year and come next year, then we shall see some relief coming to Kenyans.